This is one of the very few Realme phones to face a lot of criticism at launch. And with the launch of the Poco X3, some even declared the Realme 7 Pro dead already. But I can totally understand the commotion. Going by the specs, the Realme 7 Pro is a bit of a downgrade from the Realme 6 Pro, in some aspects at least. I would say Realme has made some questionable choices, but questionable by who? Not by Realme fans, apparently, because this seems to have been made based on suggestions by Realme fans. Realme conducted a few polls on social media and they've taken the results very seriously. So fans and fanboys are probably already happy with the phone, but how about the rest of us? Is it a better buy than the competition like the Poco X3 or even Realme's own predecessor, the Realme 6 Pro? I think you'll get a very good idea by the end of this video, so let's get started. The Realme 7 Pro is both functionally and visually very different from the 6 Pro. Let's talk about the visual part first. Now, I really liked the 6 Pro's back panel. That was super unique, unlike anything I've seen before. The 7 Pro looks completely different, but that's not to say it looks bad or anything. In fact, this is easily one of the best looking phones in this price segment. It's just that it's very different from the 6 Pro. It's less flashy, more classy, more professional with that smooth matte finish. It's kind of a frosted glass look, which you can see on something like the OnePlus 7T. Super premium finish. Realme also launched this special edition last week called the Sun-Kissed Leather, which has a neat orange plus white leather finish. Looks really good, and of course this can avoid fingerprints and smudges altogether. Thankfully, it also costs the same as the regular variants. If you're not planning to buy this phone but you're jealous after seeing this design, don't worry, Realme just provides one option, but you actually have multiple cool options like this. Thanks to our sponsor, Capes India. Capes makes these wonderful skins for a lot of devices, including smartphones, cameras, laptops, and so on. They don't add any noticeable bulk or weight to the phone, but still do a great job protecting it from scratches and dents. Recently, they introduced these new camo skins, which look absolutely fantastic, and the best part is the price is the same as their other regular skins. So definitely check out Capes India, link in the description. Use the coupon code TJOC to get 10% discount. Now, when it comes to the functional side, there are some pluses and some minuses. The 7 Pro uses a plastic back panel and Gorilla Glass 3 Plus on the front. If you remember, the 6 Pro had a glass back and Gorilla Glass 5, so that's a downgrade for sure. Now, on the other hand, the 7 Pro is noticeably thinner, smaller, and much lighter, which makes it better for single-handed usage sometimes. The two sides have very prominent curves which help with the grip. The 7 Pro is, in my opinion, the most beautiful and the most comfortable phone to use in this price segment. Grippy, not huge, not heavy. I remember using the Realme 6 Pro, it was very chunky and heavy, but of course some people are okay with that because they prefer a larger display. The 6 Pro had a 6.6-inch display while the 7 Pro has a smaller 6.4-inch screen. However, the display quality itself is a different story. We have an AMOLED display on this and it's fantastic. The colors are punchy and vivid, reasonably accurate too, and the contrast is excellent. Also, one question that I keep coming across on social media is whether it's bright enough or not. Well, it definitely is. It's noticeably brighter than the 6 Pro, and in my 1 month of usage, I never faced any issue with regards to sunlight legibility. I'm right under the hot sun right now, and the display is pretty good. I'm not sure if the camera can get it, but still, just make sure you enable auto brightness because only then the display can reach its peak brightness levels. Now, the display can also get very dim when you need it to. These days, some phones, especially those with AMOLED panels, cannot get very dim. Even if you push that slider all the way to the left, it will still be a bit too bright. Brands generally intentionally do that to hide some issues that generally become apparent at such low brightness levels. But there is no such issue over here. One thing to note here is it's a 60Hz display, while the Realme 6 Pro had a 90Hz refresh rate panel, but it's an LCD panel. Even Realme's cheaper model, the Realme 7, has a 90Hz panel. Again, that's also LCD. And like I said earlier, AMOLED is a fan pick. And the use of AMOLED also helps with slightly better battery life. You know what else helps with battery life? A higher battery capacity, of course. Yes, despite being smaller, thinner, and lighter, the 7 Pro has a 4500 mAh battery, which is 200 mAh more than the chunkier 6 Pro. Realme definitely deserves a huge thumbs up for this. And it's not just about the capacity, of course. Even in real life usage, it easily lasts over 1.5 days on a single charge. My usage has been not very heavy. Been using social media, some messaging apps like Telegram and WhatsApp, a lot of Spotify and YouTube, and a lot of Headball too, which is not very graphically intensive, by the way, and Call of Duty as well from time to time. With this kind of usage, 1.5 days or about 6 to 7 hours screen on time was easy. And needless to say, all of those tasks were handled flawlessly by the phone thanks to the Snapdragon 720G chip. Yes, it uses the same chip found on the Realme 6 Pro, no upgrade. Technically, the cheaper model, the Realme 7, has the MediaTek G95 chip, which is considerably better for gaming than the 720G. Anyway, it's not like the 7 Pro suffered from lag or anything. The gameplay was really good in my experience. PUBG is banned, so I didn't get to play that. Probably the difference between 720G and G95 will be much more prominent while playing PUBG. But Call of Duty ran absolutely fine on this. I also didn't face any kind of heating issue. In fact, I made a dedicated video on gaming at 60 FPS while charging the phone. I did it continuously for 1 hour and also kept monitoring the temperatures. The maximum temperature recorded was under 43 degrees. That's super impressive. Under 43 is a good number even if you consider just gaming. But remember, here we used Realme's 65-watt SuperDart Charger while gaming, so the thermal performance is just fantastic. By the way, yes, the 65-watt charger is included in the box, and it takes just around half an hour to charge from 0 to 100%. In fact, even while playing Call of Duty at 60 FPS, the phone took just 1 hour to go from 5% to 100%, which is also pretty mind-blowing. So yes, the performance is not bad in any way. The 720G is one of Qualcomm's best, most solid, most stable chipsets, but still I cannot help but wonder why they couldn't provide something like the 732G chipset. The cheaper Poco X3 has it after all. So it's a bit disappointing to see there's no upgrade over here. What they have upgraded is the loudspeaker. The Realme 7 Pro has dual stereo speakers, and the quality is also quite good. They get quite loud without hampering the audio quality. You can notice that the top speaker is slightly lower on volume, but it's not a big deal. And yeah, I forgot to mention, there is support for wideband L1 DRM here, so you can watch full HD content on streaming apps like Netflix, Hotstar, and so on. And like I said earlier, the speaker performance is really good. This stereo speaker setup addition is a welcome move. And it's not just the loudspeaker, the earpiece alone also has no issues. I've been on multiple phone calls over the past few weeks. The call quality was great, no abnormal signal issues or anything. More often than not, I used my Sony XM4 headphones to take calls, and the Bluetooth performance was also absolutely fine. Enough range and decent quality audio. And what about Wi-Fi? Again, no issues. It also has support for the latest Navic system, which is India's own navigation system like GPS. However, I didn't go out much, so I didn't get to test that out properly. By the way, Realme has given an in-display fingerprint scanner here, which is again something that was suggested by Realme fans on social media. The scanner works perfectly fine. It's super accurate. However, for some reason I feel it's a little slower than other Realme in-display fingerprint scanners. Even in the same price segment, it is still faster than most other phones in this price segment. What is weird is that, the position of the fingerprint scanner is a bit too low. It's too close to the chin. So it took a couple of weeks to get used to it. Again, not a big deal. And of course, it supports face unlock too, but it's not as secure as a fingerprint scanner, so I avoid using it. Next up, cameras. This is where I want to say something to Realme. If you're kind enough to ask your fans before including a feature, you should also be kind enough to ask them before removing a feature. Guys, they've removed not one, but two cameras from the Realme 6 Pro. On the rear, we had a 12 megapixel telephoto camera on the Realme 6 Pro. That's gone now. We also had an ultra-wide angle selfie camera on the front. That's also been removed here. So what's left here is a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra-wide angle camera, and a useless 2 megapixel macro camera. Yes, it is useless right now because you can rather use a 64 megapixel photo and crop in to get better results. Barring these complaints, the camera performance here has been seriously impressive. Realme has definitely worked a lot on image processing. Specifically, in good lighting conditions, the performance is pretty much flagship level. The color reproduction is amazing, the picture is super sharp, the dynamic range is also really good. Things get a little different when using the ultra-wide angle camera, but that's the case with most other phones. There is always a noticeable difference in the quality between the main camera and the ultra-wide camera, which is not a big deal. What is a big deal is how Realme has provided a ton of options in the camera app, and they've also worked on certain things that are not really marketable. You know, they cannot really boast about them in the launch event or something. They're not that significant, but still quite useful for the end user. Like stabilization at 4K resolution, for instance, it's really good. You also have an option to shoot videos using the ultra-wide angle camera at 1080p, and there is also this new ultra night mode which improves the visibility under low light. This is again something the fans demanded apparently. It also introduces a lot of noise, but in some cases where you need to at least see what's going on, this is helpful. And then there is this video portrait mode which works really well. Even under low light, it works reasonably well, as you can see. You can also find these effects like selective color portrait or turning the background black and white. The 7 Pro has the new revamped night mode where you get multiple options like a full-fledged Pro mode, a tripod mode, and a starry mode for capturing the stars. Here's a regular versus night mode versus Pro mode comparison. The Pro image looks better overall, but of course you need to know how to adjust these settings. If you have no idea, you can watch this video. I've explained every single term in detail. You'll become a real pro after watching it. Now, here's a regular versus night mode versus tripod mode comparison. Of course, the phone has to be super stable while using the tripod mode, and here's a similar comparison using the ultra-wide angle camera. In extremely dim conditions like this, night mode is a must for ultra-wide cameras. You can see how much of a difference it makes. Moving on to the front camera, once again the images are equally impressive. Super sharp selfies, great colors, skin tones, and dynamic range. What I really like about the 7 Pro is pretty much every mode works with all three cameras: main camera, ultra-wide camera, and selfie camera. That's something you don't find on most other phones in this segment. Even night mode works flawlessly. So this is easily one of the best camera phones, if not the best camera phone under 20,000 rupees. So I guess by now you have a clear understanding of what the phone offers and whether it's the right one for you or not. If not, well, I'll just summarize. The 7 Pro does have pretty strong competition. Even Realme's own Narzo 20 Pro and Realme 7 offer better gaming performance. And then there is the Poco X3 at 17K, the Galaxy M31s at 19.5K, the M51 at 25K. But the 7 Pro has its own place. Sure, it's definitely not an all-rounder, it's not for everyone, but if you're looking for a moderately compact form factor, not too heavy or bulky, a beautiful display, solid performance that can just get the job done without overheating even in extreme circumstances, excellent battery life, super fast charging, impressive camera performance. If you're looking for these, I think the Realme 7 Pro is a good deal for you. But if you're looking for a high refresh rate display, even if it's LCD, or if you want even better performance in case you do a lot of editing or high-end gaming, or if you want a larger display, then this is probably not for you. Do let me know if you'd like to see a full comparison between the Realme 7 Pro and any other phone in this price segment. I'll try to get it done. Hope you got your answers from this video. If so, just leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Take care and bye. I don't know, it seemed like a perfect outro. Instead of leaving the frame, leaving the planet.